Okay, you good. Can you introduce yourself?
I'm John Mactavish. I'm a former LSMPD sergeant.
How do you know now Deputy Degs?
Um, I met Deputy Degs, Degs, when I first joined the department. He joined before me. He was the academy class just before me. Um, when I joined, he was like an officer rank. I only really spoke to him after I got out of my probationary period and then began working calls with him. He seemed like a nice enough guy at the time, good to work with.
Can you tell us about your time working with him?
Yeah, he was really, as time went on, he got really into it, and he was a really proactive member of the department. We used to joke around with him, saying that he would always be getting into like the wildest situations. As LSPD back then, we got into a lot of situations, and Officer Degs was involved in 90% of them. But he always handled every single one of them well, and there was like very little questions raised.
Can you talk to us about some of the questions raised?
Well, I can't remember specifically. Um, nothing, uh, nothing, to do with him using force or anything like that. Nothing to do with that. He's never unlawfully used force before within the department. There have, of course, been complaints and stuff which I dealt with when I became a sergeant. Um, there were some citizen complaints with his attitude and his demeanor, but in the department, we never saw that, and most of the time, he was usually quite respectful to civilians, and they were quite respectful back to him.
Can you comment on any form of misconduct?
Um, there would be like some slip ups he would have during high intensity situations, as we all do. There would be some kind of small things. All I know is um, he did have quite he did have quite a record, and he did have quite a record with some DAs and complaints and stuff within the department. But he was a really like outstanding member. But there was just a few things, some complaints from chain of command, and then citizen complaints as well. I can't remember some of them specifically.
I mean, any of the
Most
ones you remember specifically. Help the audience
um,
build an appropriate picture of who Degs is.
there was some time where he pulled over quite a lot of cars, and there was some concern as to why he did it and his attitude when speaking to them. There was another time during a traffic stop where where a citizen wasn't really impressed with his attitude either. Keep in mind a this was during the bombings that happened down at the pier. He was trying to get that pier shut down, and there was a water and power truck that was trying to gain access to the scene. They thought they had access to the scene because they were working on the pier at the time or something like that, and they thought they had access to go in and work on it, even though it was an active crime scene. And the bomb just went off no longer than 8 minutes ago, and Degs had to forcefully tell him, well, didn't forcefully, but he was demanding him to leave, and that raised concern from the citizen and a couple others about his attitude. Most of the complaints we got were for his attitude and his demeanor. Um, Nothing, as I said, physical with any civilians or anything like that.
As his former supervisor, were you concerned about his attitude?
And sometimes, yeah, there were times where I would question, um, did he have to do that? But I questioned that with every officer. There was really, um, There was really no difference with Degs. All I know is he had like a big record, but which took him a lot of time to progress within the department. But he eventually did because he overcame that and he kept working hard. He's always been working hard, no matter how much complaints or you know thunder he got for it.
Do you think the citizens have, have the right to be scared of him and his actions and his attitude? Do you think they can lead to some of the escalations in situations that he's involved in?
As a civilian, um, a guy in a uniform with a gun who has authority over you and he's giving you an attitude, he's not being nice to you, he's not treating you with respect, it kind of starts ringing some alarm bells in your head of where this guy is going to hurt you. Is he going to hurt someone else? And could he take someone's life? I mean, people know history of police, brutality and stuff like that. That's the alarm bells that are going off in people's heads, and that's why we treat off. That's why we used to teach officers. Well, I'm guessing still do teach officers to respect every single civilian, and we had to really push down on it because we gained quite a reputation for our department back in the day. That citizens were not wanting to interact with us at all. They weren't helping us out with cases. They weren't even calling us because they were scared of us. Um, but I do believe civilians, yes, I do believe the citizens can lead to escalation and cause, some of the words that will come out of an officer's mouth, like Degs. It can be really frustrating time dealing with someone that's being really frustrating with you and they're not listening to you, especially as a big one. But it all really depends on the officer's attitude and their personality and how they're going to deal with that. If they're going to remain calm with it, try and de-escalate it, or if they're going to play aggressive with it and um, you know tell them and demand them. We have a structure. It's ask, tell, and then like make. If that makes any sense. We ask them to do it, tell them to do it, and then we make them do it. Sometimes in some situations, officers will have to just immediately make someone do something, really depending on the situation. But if you understand where I'm coming from.
Do you think Diggs' own attitude caused some of the confrontations and the conflicts to escalate?
Degs is I can't comment on Degs is like what he thinks and stuff. I don't know what he's went through. I mean, as working with him as a supervisor and a co-worker, I know he's went through a lot in the department, and it's quite a lot to go up to someone after being. You got to think of it this way: citizens, as I said, they're concerned, they're scared of the police, but some of the police are scared of the citizens, of course. I mean, they don't know what's going to happen. Dex has been in a lot of situations like that where something unexpected happens with like in a split second, and even any officer, a split second, your life can change. Officers have to approach citizens with caution. Um, so yeah,
Do you believe that the attitude problems from Diggs within the LSMPD caused his transfer to the county?
I I can't really comment on how he transferred or why he transferred. I don't even know. I haven't spoke to the guy in a while. I didn't even know he transferred until like last week. Um, Not that I would want to discuss that. I just don't know.
What was your opinion on some of the recent news articles that have been released?
Um, I was kind of surprised. I mean, we've had headlines before, but there hasn't actually. I mean, apart from like myself, there hasn't been a specific headline on an officer for a while. And seeing such bold letters like that and calling him public enemy number one, like, come on. I read the article. He, what was it? He quote unquote attacked a woman. Is that right?
That was the stipulation.
Right. I mean, I wasn't like there or anything, but I don't. I think instead of absolutely opening up on this guy and calling him public enemy number one, there should be questions instead. Asking the sheriff's department what really happened here. I bet you none of you guys has actually interviewed the actual victim. I bet you there's been no body cam footage released because I don't think there's been any demand for it from what I've heard. All there's been is just public enemy number one. Bam, he hit someone, he assaulted a woman. Bam, public enemy number one, no questions asked.
Would it shock you to know that the woman was interviewed? It was her statement that led to that article, and the sheriff's office ignored the public information request access to the body cam footage of the incident.
Well, it is in with the, if the investigation is ongoing with the department, which I'm pretty sure, I hope there was an investigation. It doesn't have to release, they don't have to release body cam footage on media demand. Um, you said you interviewed the victim or, you know, citizen.
We did. She admitted to starting the altercation, but she also stated on the occasion that when, the moment he left the room, she attempted to surrender. And while she was facing away, he came in and clubbed her over the back of the head with a baton.
Okay. I don't think, personally, I don't really think Dex's attitude or anything like that has to do with it. I don't personally think Degs would attack a woman like that for no reason. There had to have been some, you know, story to come into place for him to use that use of force. I've known Degs for a while, and he's never attacked someone for no reason, especially a woman. Um, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I've seen cases before from the sheriff's department. Use of force is taken seriously within all the departments within the state. And if there's like a question raised about it, it's instantly investigated. And the reason that you've probably not heard anything about that is probably because it was assumed justified. Um, I don't know why they haven't released body cam footage. I mean, they don't have to. I guess it would show the same thing that the women saw, but there had to be some altercation to lead up to that for him to do that.
One final question. Do you believe that the animal rights activists had a right to be angry after they saw Degs put a shotgun to a pig's head that wasn't doing anything?
I can see why they might, want to say something about it. Did he shoot the boar? No. I think people have to forget animals are really dangerous and they kill a lot of people every year. And a boar specifically is a really dangerous animal. I don't know if you've seen the size of a boar, if you've seen the tusks on that thing, but it can really do some damage, and it has done some damage. I can see why the caution may have been taken um, to bring out a weapon just in case, because animals can be deadly. It's exactly really similar thing like a citizen. You have to take that caution. I mean, Dex didn't pull the trigger on the animal just because it was standing there, right? He had it in his hand because the boar was somewhere it wasn't meant to be, and he didn't want to disturb the boar that much to where it was going to attack him. Did he attack the boar? I didn't see anything that he attacked the boar. He just had a gun out when the boar was there. So
Okay, do you have anything else for this article?
I don't have anything else. I do have a little bit of news. I am working on a personal project myself that's gonna have a lot of information about my own story and what I think about everything else in San Andreas. It's actually a book that's going to be coming out sometime in October.
Yeah, please drop a promotion for it.
So it comes out sometime in October. It's called Sacrifice, and it's a book that I've been writing and coming up with for a while. It's about my whole story of the arrest, my experience within the police department, and my opinion on everything law enforcement related within San Andreas. So be sure to check it out, and there will be more promotions for it coming up. But thank you for doing this interview. I'm glad I could speak out about this, and thank you for reaching out to me about it as well. You guys have been very cooperative with hearing me out, so thank you very much for that.
No, it's been our pleasure. This has been Weazel News on Public Enemy Number 1.